Welcome to my very first board game review. Bear a little bit with me, it's my first video review I'll be doing, and I'm not good at editing, so I'll be doing everything in one shot. The game I'm going to be reviewing today is Cavetroll, 2nd edition, published by Fantasy Flight, designed by Jollie. It's a 2 to 4 player game, takes about 20 to 60 minutes, and players ages 10 and up. The main difference between 2nd edition and 1st edition is that 2nd edition comes with better components. What you get inside the box. First off, you get the rules. Nothing special here. It's 6 pages, pretty small. It's because it's a Silverline game. Silverline games are actually known to be more family friendly. The board. Of course, you get the board. As you can see, in every room there's a certain amount of money printed on, and of course the goal of the game is trying to get as much money as possible. You get an entire bag loaded full with plastic miniatures and these little counters, which you will be using to keep note on how many gold you scored on the victory track. Every player also gets an entire deck of cards. You'll be drawing these cards and playing them along the game. They also included a couple of extra cards. These extra cards will you play with other rules, but I will not be reviewing them. I'll be just doing the basic game. So you also get these artifact cards. These artifact cards represent special things that you find, like magic weapons and stuff, and they let you break the rules in a way or another. Okay, let's get started. If you play a card which has, as you can see, an hourglass symbol on it, you place it aside. Whenever there are cards worth 5 hourglass markers, then it's time to score the room. You count all the rooms you possess and total the value, move your victory marker, and that's all there's to it. That's how you play the game. Every player places aside those cards. So if I play one and somebody else plays one with 2 hourglasses on them, there's 3 hourglasses, etc., etc. You know. Let's get started. First off, we have the adventurer. The adventurer, represented by this pawn, actually is the most basic character. He doesn't do anything, just you use him to crowd up the rooms. Second character is the dwarf. The dwarf is a really good character in that it multiplies the value of the room by 2. So if it was worth 5, it would now be worth 10. Then you have the thief. When you play a thief, you make her appear on the board on an entranceway, the same as all heroes. There is a difference between heroes and monsters, as I'll explain later. These are entranceways. That's where your heroes will enter. And these are pits. That's where your monsters will enter. Whenever she enters play as an extra action, so you have to order an action for it, she can move to any room you want. So she actually is pretty good in taking those rooms you really want. The barbarian. The barbarian is one of the strongest characters out there. If you play him in a room, there can only be 5 pawns in the room from all players. So if there are ever 5, there cannot be another pawn put into the room. And at the end, whoever has the most pawns in the room scores the room. And he's worth 2 for the purpose of calculating how many pawns you have in the room. Complicated, but okay, it's not that bad. The knight. The knight actually is one of the best pawns in the entire game. Whenever a knight enters a room when there's an orc, he slays the orc immediately, even your own orc, so be careful. But the cool thing about the knight is that when you play him in a room, no other pawns can enter the room except for the opponent's knights. Now we have the orc. The orc, the guy who gets slain by the knight, represented by this pawn, is actually the only pawn in the entire game who can kill off other pawns by taking an action. So if he takes an action, he can discard an opponent's pawn in the same room. The raid actually is pretty handy. These are, by the way, all monsters, which you can see by the square bases. And these are the round bases of the heroes. So the raid, when he enters a room, he pushes out an opponent's pawn. And as an action, he can push out an extra one, except for the barbarian. The barbarian doesn't get pushed out by the raid. He isn't scared that easily. Now, last but not least, we have the cavetroll. Since it's the name of the game, it's going to be something special. The cavetroll actually is the biggest pawn in the entire set. When you play a cavetroll, you do not make him appear from a pit as you do with monsters. You just place him in a room and he pushes out all the pawns. But he pushes out one pawn of every player. So if I would have 2 pawns in there, he would push out one, I get to choose which one and where I move it to, and the other one gets discarded right away. No pawn can ever enter a room with a cavetroll in it. So that means that the cavetroll is actually blocking that room. Strategically, it's very interesting to play the cavetroll. The treasure. The treasure is represented by his own little pawn. When you play treasure in a room, it adds 4 extra points to the room, but it doesn't get duplicated by the dwarf. So if you have a room worth 5 points, it's going to be worth 10 plus 4, 14 points. Easy enough. There you go. Now you have the score a room card. The score a room card does exactly that. You pick a room and you score it. And you have the Find an Artifact card. If you play the Find an Artifact card, you get to draw an artifact from the deck. Every artifact lets you do something else. Doesn't really matter. Lets you break the rules in a way or another. Or gives you a certain amount of extra gold at the end of the game. This one was worth 2. When one player plays his last card, that's it. Game is over. You score one last time, and then it is done. So that's about it. Now, what do I think about the game? Well, I really like Tom Jollie's games. Tom Jollie has a really good feeling about how to make games interesting. There's actually a little to no luck in this game, except for the order you draw cards in, because everybody gets the same cards. I really like the game. I really think it's a nice purchase, especially considering the price. It cost me 30 euros and I get, I don't even know, about over 100 plastic dolls with it. Yeah, I call them dolls. Really fun game, plays really well, fast. Perfect filler, and I think a game that you might enjoy quite a lot. So I hope that you liked it. Goodbye.